So what is it that sets apart those businesses, those teams, those individuals that do get into the success zone and the rest who end up in the so-so zone, or even worse, the quagmire of reactivity? I started looking at this 30 years ago, longer. And one of the things that I noticed was there were certain fundamentals at work. One of the key fundamentals was that these people are really good at goal setting. And not just goal setting, it was their whole approach to goals. It was more about goal getting. You see, the challenge these days is that people set goals all the time, don't they? We all set goals. Most people set far too many, and they end up overwhelmed. There's a sense of, they keep getting distracted. There's a lot of displacement. There's a lot of external interference and busyness, and procrastination creeps in, and a lot of noise that stops us from getting our goals. And we end up, we set health and fitness goals, and we know what happens there. You set the goal in January, and by February the gyms are all empty. We set goals like, I want to work more strategically. I want to work more on the business. We set goals like leading our team better. We set goals around marketing campaigns and sales and all sorts of other things in our lives and in our businesses. And what happens is we end up with a lot of frustration, a lot of stress, and a lot of doubts that creep in because there's far too many. And we end up with lots of half-attempted and failed initiatives. And that's why most change initiatives in companies and for individuals fail. You see, the difficulty is that it requires change. So how do we turn that goal setting that everyone does into goal getting that the most successful people, the big high achievers, do? They might not even be aware that they do it. The other thing I started looking into was the laws of cybernetics. Cybernetics is the kind of study of the way robots behave, and it's likened to the way in which humans are programmed to behave. And my observation is this, that when you give a robot or a machine a task to do, it will move unswervingly towards the achievement of that task, as long as it knows clearly what the task is. And humans are actually programmed in the same way. We will move unswervingly towards a clear goal, as long as we know what that goal is. The other thing I observed about very successful entrepreneurs in particular is they have a childlike energy around their goals. So think of a time when you achieved a goal. When have you ever failed to achieve a goal, in fact? When you put your whole heart, mind, soul, every ounce of energy, every ounce of focus, every moment of time into the achievement of that goal? Never. Everyone always achieves those things that they absolutely 100% commit to. The secret is in finding those things that engage us at that level in our lives and in our businesses, in our careers. So I noticed also that high achievers, successful people, successful teams, successful businesses work in 90-day chunks, in these 90-day cycles, whether they're aware of it or not. That seems to be the timescale where people set and achieve these breakthrough goals. Yeah, we know that you want to have the bigger vision, the longer term vision for the business, the company, yourself. But these 90-day chunks are where the difference is really made on a moment-by-moment basis in making that breakthrough. And these appear to be, to those big high achievers, those most successful people, sort of projects that they take on. It might be a cluster of goals, but they're projects that they take on over a 90-day period and they follow through on to completion. Now, projects to me sounds a little bit like third-year geography, and I was no good at that. So I decided I needed to change that a little bit and look at what were the components of these so-called projects that highly successful people always did, the high performers, the high achievers. What were the components of these projects that made them stand out and made them different and made them compelling? And so I started to call these awesome special missions, ASMs or ASMs. as my clients refer to them. Awesome, because they're big, challenging, special, and missions. So awesome because they're big and challenging. They're scary, they're exciting, and as a result, they're compelling. Nothing compels us more than when we're a little bit frightened and very excited. They're special because in the future, you'll look back on them and you'll think, I remember when I did X, Y, or Z. We can all think of times, can't we, when we were working in a team, say, and it was a special time when we achieved something particular and specific that we look back on with fondness because everyone was in harmony, everyone was aligned, everyone was working towards this common goal. So they're special. And they're also missions. They're missions in the sense that that's almost a military term in this sense, that you will need to be at your absolute best to achieve them. They require full focus, full energy, every element of time you can give, massive intent, massive action to get the result. Because when we do that in our lives and in business and in our careers, that's when we're at our best. It's the equivalent of a military operation where the outcome is clear, where everything is on the line. And when you're in a military operation where the outcome you really want means that everything is in the line, you don't want Dad's army turning up, you want the SAS, yeah? Or the elite special forces, the top guys, the people who are at their best. And that's why these awesome special missions require you to have something big and challenging, special. You look back on the achievement of it with great pride and fondness, and it's a mission. You're going to have to be at your best to achieve it. Now, all of this, these awesome special missions, creates absolute no-nonsense clarity, and it requires commitment. Because it requires commitment, my belief is that there are a number of criteria that you should have with these awesome special missions that mean that you can devote the commitment required. Now, let's break this down. There are 7 criteria we're going to look at. The first one is that, as I've said, that these awesome special missions take place over only 90 days. And 90 days allows you to set a goal that is big enough that it will be significant, because it's going to be the sort of thing that takes you on your journey a significant footholds distance up your mountain. So something significant, so it's long enough for that, but also 90 days is short enough that it will create the urgency required. The second trait or criteria is that you must have between 1 and 3 only at any one time. You can do lots of other great stuff in your life, but in terms of awesome special missions, between 1 and 3 is the maximum. In fact, I'm narrowing it down to saying that for the most part, if it's a big enough mission, probably only 1. If you do have more than 1, you're going to have to be very smart about the resources that you apply to each of those missions. And I would suggest that you don't have too many loaded into one area of your life. You might have a personal awesome special mission and a business awesome special mission at the same time, but I wouldn't have too many of either one or the other, if you see what I mean. So between 1 and 3 awesome special missions. The third criteria is that they must have an immediate impact. An immediate impact in terms of the results that they get you. So the results must be clear, they must be specific, and they must be immediate in terms of the 90 days. The fourth criteria is that they must have a lasting effect. So, in other words, it needs to be sustained. A lasting effect in taking you forward significantly on your success mountain. And the fifth element is that they must be all geared to action. Action takes priority over planning. So this is not the sort of missions where you sit down and have lots of planning meetings and lots of cups of tea and biscuits and all that sort of stuff. These are urgent, breakthrough missions. So it's about asking yourself, what if we absolutely had to do this? How would we conduct ourselves today in relation to this mission? So it means impacting with energy and with enthusiasm for the goal, with absolute focus. So that's action takes priority over planning. Yes, you must have a plan at the outset, but it's the action that gets the result. Because this is something where when you get started, you create momentum. The plan needs to be flexible, it needs to change, you need to be able to adapt as you go along. Number 6 in the criteria is that you must feel when you set this goal, when you create this awesome special mission, whether it be individually or with a team, with your team at work or your business team, you must feel, I must be mad to be doing this. It must be that great a mission that you feel, I must be mad. And we all know that MAD stands for making a difference. That's what awesome special missions do. And criteria number 7 is what I call the butterfly moment. When you commit to your awesome special missions, the butterflies need to be doing somersaults in your stomach, because that's a sign that the awesome special mission is, in fact, big enough, it's going to be special enough, and you're going to have to commit your absolute best as a mission, an awesome special mission. So there are many examples you can probably think of. You know, it could be a personal mission. It could be around fitness and health. It could be deciding to do the couch to 5K, or it could be running a marathon, depending on what level you're starting at. It could be to lose 2 stone. It could be to, at home, sort your house out, top to bottom, room by room. It could be to learn a new language or a musical instrument. It could be, going to do conversational Italian because you're going to go on holiday to Italy. Or it could be a hobby project. Anything that is a big mission that you think, that would give me a bit of a breakthrough. Part of this is about training your mind to think that way, because this then becomes a transferable mindset to other aspects of your life. But it could also be a business awesome special mission. You could say, right, I'm going to target, or we as a team, or we as a business are going to target a whole new market. And this is what we want to achieve by the end of 90 days with that, starting from 0. Or we're going to double our sales over a 90-day period. Or we're going to create and launch a whole new product or service. Or we're going to overhaul our business platform, our website, our social media presence, and all of that in one go. Or we're going to sort out our distribution channels and do that all in one go. And our supply chain. Or it might be that you say, right, we need a whole new approach to our team. It's going to require a whole load of new people being recruited and upskilled into the business or into our team, and a whole relaunch event or something like that. You get the idea. So thinking of some actual examples, I remember there was a lady who came to me, and she was working for a company in Scotland, and they were 27% down on their year-to-date sales figures. And this was at the beginning of September. And so they only had sort of 3 months left, really, to get cracking and turn that around. 27% down on their year-to-date. They ended up, by approaching this with awesome special mission approach, when I coached them on it, to turning it round to ending up 38% up on the year. So what a turnaround. And this was a decent big mission. I remember one delegate at one of the events that I ran who actually did the board breaking. He broke through the board as part of the illustration of this whole concept. He went away to his business. He was the sales director, and he decided to double the sales immediately. We need to double our sales and get there as fast as possible. They were in a relatively small construction business, building industry. And off he went. And lo and behold, he did it. I had one client who, as a side hustle, decided with his partner to set up a gym. And they did it in 90 days, a whole new business, a gym with all that went with that, a full kind of training and development program for their coaches or personal trainers that they involved with it. I think they had 3 to start with. And they set this up in 90 days from nothing. I've used it myself, as you can imagine. In fact, I was the guinea pig, really, for a lot of this. I remember my second book, Results, I wrote this and got a publisher from 0 in 3 months. So that was an awesome special mission. And I thought, to prove the system, let's see how quickly I can do this. My third book, Reflections from the White Tunnel, I wrote in 5 days. And that was an awesome special mission that I condensed so much just to see whether it could be done. That's not me saying, look, trying to impress you. That's about me impressing upon you how important it is to take this approach to achieving your breakthrough goals. So what are your awesome special missions? What's that one that just cropped up as I was speaking there, that your gut feeling told you, I need to do this, I desperately need to do this, and it will make such a difference. It'll be done in 90 days. It's one that I can focus on that will have an immediate impact and a lasting effect in terms of my business. It will require big action. It will require me to think, I must be mad to be doing this. You're probably thinking that right now. And the butterflies are doing somersaults. It's big, it's awesome, it'll be special because I'll look back on it with pride and fondness, and I'll need to be at my absolute best to achieve it. What is that one for you? Write it down. Write it down. And also think about why it's important. And then ask yourself, how serious am I about achieving that goal? Now, shortly, we'll work on some specific strategies and tools to help you make your awesome special missions actually happen, including something called the Fever Formula and some psychological mindset techniques for you to help you make that breakthrough. Before that, we're going to take a short break. In the interim, the most important thing is for you to just think about your awesome special mission for the next 90 days. Don't worry about how you're going to achieve it. Just commit in your mind to that awesome special mission. Because when we commit in our minds to our awesome special missions, what we find is that as soon as we start taking action, all the coincidences, all the luck, all the opportunities arise that will support you in the achievement of those. So think about your awesome special mission. Let's take a break, and I'll see you right after that.